Hey my puppies, this is Melody Fletcher, author of Deliberate Receiving, Finally the Universe Makes Some Freaking Sense. And this is this week's Q&A. Awesome Mario asks, I'm still looking for a good example for the law of attraction. Parking spots, trips to Paris, etc. aren't really my topics. I'd love to hear how to use the law of attraction for big long-term goals like learning an instrument like the guitar or piano, learning an art, a language, and so on. That's what most people get easily frustrated with. First of all, Mario, thank you so much for your question. This is a really excellent one. I'm really grateful that I get a chance to explore it. So I know that we talk a lot about, how to manifest a parking spot and starting with something small like that. And I did a video a few weeks ago about how to manifest big things as easily as small things. And in that video, I did talk about sort of starting with a parking spot because there's no big risk in manifesting something like a parking spot. You get it, you don't get it, who cares? And on the big things, we often put so much importance on them that they don't manifest as easily. But I totally get you. What about long-term goals like learning a skill, learning a language, building up a business, or even, a relationship that you want long-term? These are manifestations that, believe it or not, are exactly like any other manifestation. The same rules apply. It's just that you can't sort of get out of that vibration, and it's easy to do that when you're looking at a really long-term goal. You kind of have to keep trusting and keep re-hitting that vibration. So here's what I'm talking about. Let me give you an example. So let's say that you wanted to build a business and you want to build $1 million business, which can be a long-term goal, although for some people it's a very short-term goal. So let's say that it takes you 3 years to build that, and you have a vision of a business that is really, really huge. But you know that right now in this second, you can't create the business that size. Maybe you want to open a restaurant and you want to open a whole chain of restaurants, and you can see them all over the world, but you have yet to open even your very first one, and you don't even really know how to cook. But for some reason, opening a restaurant really, really, really gets your juices flowing. It gets you super excited. Well, then step into that energy as often as possible and watch for the path to unfold. And that path may not look the way that you think it's going to look. So this is the thing with all manifestations, but particularly big long-term manifestations, that you have to remember that when the path opens up, it will feel good, but it may not logically necessarily make any sense to you whatsoever, because you'll only be able to connect the dots of the steps in that path in hindsight, not while they're happening. So this is where that wonderful word trust comes in again. So as the path opens up, it will feel really, really good if you're lined up with that energy. You may be inspired, for example, to go to a party, and you don't really like parties, but for some reason you're inspired to go to this party, and you're not going to talk yourself out of it. It doesn't make any logical sense. And there you meet somebody who introduces you to somebody else, who 6 months later leads to you having an amazing partner. Maybe he's a chef, but that's not the person you met at the party. It was just a succession of events that led to that. So now you have a partner to open a restaurant with. And perhaps you met somebody else who's going to be your business mentor, who can teach you how to actually run the business side of things. And over time, pieces come together. Yet they often come together in really unexpected ways that you could have never, ever orchestrated. So if you keep the faith, if you keep hitting that vibration of what you want, that frequency of what, that feeling of what you want, the path will continue to unfold. And then trust that it will, and trust that it is. So one of my absolutely favorite mantras for the last few years, and I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again, is I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be awesome. So when I'm intuitively called to go to some place or have a conversation with somebody or go to a class or go to a conference or move to a new city that doesn't make any logical sense to me, I show up anyway. I go anyway because I know it's going to be amazing. And you know what? It always is. And I know it's going to get me a step closer to what I want. And it always does. And don't forget to enjoy yourself along the way. Enjoy the ride along the way. And then you really can't go wrong. So Maria, I hope that I've answered your question. If not, please leave me a comment below, or if you have other questions as well, then leave a comment below here, or join us at deliberatereceiving.com, where the Happy Shiny Puppy Army, my tribe, awaits a group of an amazing group of people who are just waiting to meet you. This has been this week's Q&A, and I will see you next week. Bye.